Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today we are taking a look at a newly certified for Microsoft Teams device, also certified for Zoom, a personal collaboration and hot desking device. Some have even referred to it as a frame changer. We're taking a look at the Neat Frame. In this video, of course, we'll be unboxing the Neat Frame. We'll be taking a look at all the features and components, seeing how easy and quick it is to get set up. We'll be looking at it as a personal device. It is also capable of being used as a hot desking solution. And of course, we'll demo the AI video capabilities built into the Neat Frame itself. Before we get to all that, of course, quick reminder, if you're not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button below, turn on notifications to stay in the know, and if you like the video, throw a thumbs up and share it with all of your colleagues on social media. And with that, let's take a look at the Neat Frame. So just like setting up the device, unboxing it is pretty easy. It's a good size, as you can tell, but as we flip to the side, we see this diagonal line right here, and we really are going to just open the front. Slides right open like that. With the front of the box open, we can see the Neat Frame sitting up in the box in its plastic molding there. We have a couple instructions, very basic instructions on how to get started. Insert the power cable, and then follow setup on the frame. So really easy to get up and going. As we look down at the bottom of the box here, we can see that our power cable will be tucked inside. Pulling this little flap up exposes our cabling, and there's the power cable. Removing the frame is pretty simple. We just pull it out of the box carefully, and we can set it off to the side. We've got our warranty and safety information right here, tucked into this little brown pouch. Now the frame ships with some protective wrapping that just slides right off the top. We get a view of our 15.6-inch diagonal screen, camera up top, and as we slide the device around to the side, we have a little adhesive holding this protective wrapper on. And with that, the Neat Frame is unboxed and unwrapped. Built for both the home office and focus rooms, the Neat Frame offers a 15.6-inch display with full HD. The built-in camera boasts an impressive 50 megapixels, has a 113-degree field of view, 4 times digital zoom, and has a built-in privacy shutter up top that simply slides back and forth with a physical button at the very top right above the camera. The front-facing tweeter and woofer is built into the front of the Neat Frame, right at the bottom here under the gray cloth. This allows for a really immersive audio experience as you are facing the device. At the top of the device, in addition to our privacy shutter mechanism, we've got a 3-mic array built in, allowing for a rich microphone audio experience. There is also algorithms built in to eliminate background noise and focus in on the speaker's voice. Coming up the back of the device, we've got some branding. At the very top, we've got a little handle here that allows the device to be semi-portable in case you need to move it from one desk or one focus area to another. Coming down to the bottom of the device, the Neat Frame has the rubber grips in the bottom so it doesn't slide around on surfaces. At the very center at the bottom, there is a tripod hole mount right there. We've got power to the left, factory reset button beside it, a 3.5mm mic jack in case you want to use a headset rather than the built-in speakers and microphones, and USB-C. The USB-C can be used if you want a wired internet connection instead of Wi-Fi. You can use a Ethernet to USB-C adapter, plug in there, and you are now wired in. The device also supports Bluetooth, which can be utilized to pair the device with a nearby laptop so that you can use it as a companion device to the laptop. The initial physical setup is pretty ridiculously easy. You take your power cord, you plug it in to the spot at the bottom for power. You take the other end, you plug it in, and you are now ready to set up the device on screen for the first time. Really quick setup. Now, before we plug this in and configure it on screen, an important note about using the Neat Frame: it is designed to where when it's sitting on the desk, and this is a little higher than the desk will be, you are almost eye to eye with that camera, meaning you are having what feels like an eye-to-eye conversation with the person or persons at the other end of the call. They are also displayed in so that you see them as if they are standing or sitting right in front of you. It makes it a very real, very face to face feel in the conversation. That coupled with the audio coming out the bottom right there in front of you, it puts this eye to eye, person to person, like I'm in the room kind of feel with the conversation. And that's the whole idea. The other thing with the Neat Frame is that it's got AI capabilities built in for following you and framing you on video. You can change it to group or you can change it to individuals. So if there's more than one person in the room, it will give you your individual boxes, neat symmetry. If it's a group of people and you select group, it'll frame in the group of people so that they're in the image. But even if you get up from your seat in your home office, let's say, and start pacing around the office a bit, I'm a bit of a pacer, the camera on the Neat Frame will follow you around and keep you framed in. In beta, there is also the boundary feature. We'll take a look at that. You can set how far back, the depth, and how far off to the side you want the camera to focus in on for AI purposes. So that if someone is walking behind you, maybe more than 5 meters, and you don't want that person to be included in group framing, you can set that in more so that it's not capturing people in the background. Also, if you have people off to the side that you don't want captured in that framing, you can bring in the scope of where the camera is looking. With that, let's get this plugged in and we'll walk through the initial setup. After powering the Neat Frame on for the first time, we see our little LED in the bottom right corner. We get our purple Neat screen as it loads. We can choose our language and we'll say English because that is the only language that I speak. Otherwise, we'll just get very confused. On your network, it's going to find your Wi-Fi networks. You'll select one and connect to it. Again, if you want to skip Wi-Fi at this stage, you would take your Ethernet cable, connect it to an adapter that converts it to USB-C, and then plug into USB-C on the underside, then you're wired. Once you're connected into your network, you say continue. You pick your time. You can choose a 24-hour time right here, and if you need to change your time zone, you do so down at the bottom. With your time zone selected, we say continue. You got analytics and improvement. You can choose or not to send your device analytics to Neat to help improve things. We say continue. Now we get our camera preview. Again, this is a 50 megapixel camera with framing capabilities at the screen. They want you to stand up, move around a bit, let the AI built into the device get an idea of where you're at in the room and start to follow you as you walk around. And we see that happening right now. Even with obstructions in the way, the Neat Frame is finding me and following me as I walk around the room. There are a couple different settings. Again, you've got group or individual framing, that symmetry capability. You've also got boundary settings we'll get to in a second, but we'll say looks good for now. Now we get to boundary. You can skip this step if you don't want to configure a boundary, but if you do configure a boundary, it's kind of like this little screen here. Let's say there's 3 people in the room. You only want the Neat Frame to pay attention to this little area so that the other people aren't framed in. If you want that, you would configure it. It gives you your example. Now, this is an especially important setting if you've got a focus area with glass walls and people walking behind in the hallway in those glass walls. You do not want them to continually be framed in. So you would adjust your width down. Here we've got a 5-meter width. So we've really cut out all the stuff on the side. We're down to 5 meters. On the depth, we'll say 6 meters. We don't want to capture people way back in the room. And then when you got what you want, you'll say continue. Now, if you have other people in the background here, I tested this with my family last night, you will see where they're at in the background. And as you adjust your settings, they'll have green boxes if they're included. And then when you cut them out based on these settings, they'll go to red boxes so that you have a feel for, oh, this is the space that's going to be included in my framing. We say continue. Now we choose our platform. Again, Zoom is supported. We are doing a Microsoft Teams-centric video here, so we'll say continue. At this stage, the Microsoft Teams app gets installed. Do not unplug the device during this time. Once you connected to Wi-Fi, if there was an update available and needed for the Neat Frame, it will install that earlier on in this stage. This pretty quick process right here with installing the Teams app. We see a couple little notifications up top as it installs the company portal app, etc. Now we see Teams is installed up top, and hey, we're all set. So we say launch Microsoft Teams. Now we're going to get that familiar Microsoft Teams interface for this category of device. We have a couple different sign-in methods here. We can do the Microsoft.com/device login method, enter our code below, and get signed in remotely that way. We can sign on to this device right here at the bottom, signing on locally. Before we sign into Teams, a quick overview of our settings up top. We click on the settings up there. We see that we've got our cloud up here. We can provision the device. This is an Android device. So if we want to remotely provision it from the Teams Admin Center, we can do that. Report an issue, and then device settings. Coming into device settings, we can set a few things up before we actually sign in. You've got accessibility features, your usual things in here. And we've got the time and language if you needed to make any changes there. I'm going to make a change to the date format because to me here in the US, this looks a little backwards. I want to see my month in front of my day. And we'll select that. We'll go back. We'll leave the rest alone. On the audio and video, so we've got Bluetooth can be turned on and off here. We want to leave that on if we're going to connect to a companion device. They're going to talk to each other via Bluetooth. And for Microsoft Teams, you need to be signed in with the same account on both devices. So we'll leave that on. Auto framing turned on. We have individuals selected right now. That's a little bit of that symmetry, but we can do group framing if we want it to frame into the entire group. I've got a separate video on Neat Symmetry using the Neat bar. I'm going to put a link in the upper corner of the video so you can check out what symmetry looks like. We'll go ahead and leave this on group for the moment. And we already configured our subject boundary. You can change that if you need to. Anti-banding mode, 50 Hertz, 60 Hertz, or default. On the system settings, you've got about information. You'd expect all your typical things in there. You've got your software update. You can check for updates if one is needed. And you can update your update channel. We're automatically pulling updates as well. Screen brightness, especially for this video, it might help if we turn the screen brightness down a little bit. We might be able to actually see things a little more clearly in the video, and sure enough, we can. We'll leave the screen brightness down for the sake of this video. Screen standby, 5 minutes. You can change that. You can do an auto wake up if you want. It says to conserve energy, Neat Frame automatically wakes up and sleeps based on the presence of people in the room. That's kind of cool, actually. Let's go ahead and flip that on. You can set a lock screen here. So this is signed in with your personal account. You can lock the screen if you want to. When we go to lock screen, you would set a pin if you want to have to be able to lock the screen. We'll say, sure, we'll make a pin in here. With our pin set, we'll say save. Lock screen is configured. We can reset the device from a lock screen in case we forget our pin. We can turn that on or off. And then remote pin unlock. This will allow Microsoft Teams better together on your PC to unlock the device. I love that. We'll keep that there. Remote access is off by default. You can turn it on when it's enabled. You can access the device settings via a web browser using the IP address. And then we can reset our device to factory defaults and restart the device. Then we've got admin settings. Now, the admin username is admin. The password is going to be the last 6 digits of your serial number. Once you sign into the admin settings, again, we see Bluetooth can be turned on and off. We've got our network settings in here. We've got debug settings, which will reset your custom configs or reset to factory defaults. And then we can change our password if you don't want to have it use the last 6 numbers of your serial number. Finally, we can sign out of the admin. And with that, we've got our system settings there. Let's get logged into the device. With our username and password, we're off to the races. If you have MFA set up, you may have to input a code there. With my MFA code input, I say verify, and we're able to finish the login process to the Microsoft Teams app on our Neat Frame. And a couple little introductory screens by your side, the perfect pair, connect this Neat Frame to your laptop. You can say set this up later or connect now. I'm going to try to connect now because I do have Bluetooth turned on both devices. I do see the computer where I'm already signed into. We're going to say connect. Over on the PC, I do have a prompt in Teams to connect. I will click that. And once I click connect, it tells me I'm connected to that device. We are now paired. We'll say done. And here I've got all the activity in my little activity notification section. Lots of stuff going on in my tenant here. We've got all of our regular buttons up top, your calls, you have your dial pad down at the bottom. You've got history, voicemail, all right there as well. Your contacts, your voicemail, your chat. If we go into chats, we can see recent chats going on there. If we click into one of the chats, we can actually type in replies down at the bottom. And we've got our calendar here. This will pull up any meetings, and I don't have a lot of scheduled things, obviously, on the calendar in this tenant. But from the calendar as well, we can also say, start a new call. And with the meeting, we can edit our meeting name. We can turn our video on if we want to. We can turn our mic on, and we've got our speakers already on. So clicking that drop down button, we can join with our audio off if we want, but we're just going to say join now. And as easy as that, we are in a Microsoft Teams meeting. There we go. The Neat Frame sees me. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of that moving around. It's kind of framed me in nicely, in my opinion. But as I walk around the room a little bit, we'll see it follow me as it does. Frames into me. It's got a nice close. It's not like getting too much wasted real estate in the side. And I pace a little more. I walk back across my room, and it continues to follow me, keeping me in the conversation. Now, as I'm sitting at a desktop, there's not going to be a whole lot of moving around, right? I'm going to be in one place pretty much, so not a lot is needed on the framing side of things. But if you need to get up and paste like I do, there you go. We can add participants down here at the bottom if we want to. We've got chat for the meeting up there up top, as well as our participant list. You can mute yourself, unmute, stop your video, start your video. You've got volume up and down. We've got all of our different reactions built right in here as well. We'll throw a thumbs up in there. We've got our recording options, show chat bubbles, lock the meeting, invite captions, dial pad, all the fun things in your meetings you would expect within your tenant are all right there. And then, of course, we can end the call if we need to. Coming back out to our home screen, in the More section, we can access files. We can access our teams. We can access different notes and organization. You can reorder these things as well. If we want to, we can pull down up top and we see I'm the person signed in here. I can also leave a note. We can leave an audio note, a video note, or a text note. We'll do an audio note. Click on record. Now we are recording a note that can be left for anyone else that might come up and use this Neat Frame, or for myself later on. We'll click stop. There we go. We want to post this so that it's visible. So we say post. This now shows up in our notes. So as we swipe up and then swipe down, we see the notes that are left there. If I go back to our More menu and click on notes, we'll see we do indeed have that note there. I can click on it and play it right from that screen. Clicking on our username in the upper left-hand corner, we can do all the regular team stuff, Teams stuff, set a status message, set our availability. We can connect the device. Our notifications are on or off. Hot desking. Now, if someone wants to walk up and use this device, you can click on Hot Desk in the settings. If it's enabled in your environment, you'll put your username in, you'll go through the sign-in process, and you are using it in a hot desking manner. I'm not going to show that off in this video, but hot desking is an option for this category type of device within Microsoft Teams. We can lock our screen. The screen is now locked. If I slide up, I've got to input my code since we set up a lock screen earlier. And we've got settings up here as well. Now, a lot of these settings are Microsoft Teams settings up top. You got your profile, messaging, calling, people, notifications, manage delegates. But we've also got the pin, the lock timeout. We talked about a little bit about that earlier. Wallpapers. We've got our default one here. You can choose from this list down here as well. Coming back out, we have auto restart settings. We can report issues. We've got about. We can sign out of the device if we don't want to stay signed in. And then when we go to device settings, this is all the stuff that we took a look at earlier. Now, coming over to the desktop, you see kind of the intended workflow here. You've got your laptop and your connected monitors on the desk. The Neat Frame is meant to be a secondary, standalone, dedicated device to offload that Microsoft Teams workload onto a separate device. You're not wasting compute resources or screen real estate. You can multitask and use your computer and PC for what you need it to be, and the Neat Frame will jump in there and be that secondary device that allows you to conduct your meetings without disturbing the other side. As I mentioned earlier, the intended setup here is that you are looking eye to eye at that camera. So as you see the Neat Frame sitting on the desk and you see me in my chair at my desk, the natural height is that my eyes are at camera level and I am staring right into the face or faces of the other individuals that will be presented as their own image right here on screen, and I'll be framed in right. It's a natural feel. It looks like I'm sitting across the table from another person having a conversation, audio coming at me right here, microphones up top right near the camera where I am looking and speaking to. So it's a natural flow of conversation. Now, to demo the companion capabilities here, I'm looking at my laptop, I'm capturing the screen on my laptop, and we're going to say meet now. Okay, I've connected these devices. We'll say start meeting. This is just an ad hoc start now meeting. We'll go over to our device settings, and you can see that on the audio devices, it's got NF for Neat Frame, and then under camera, we've got NF for Neat Frame. So as I say join now, over on our Neat Frame, it actually starts the meeting. We see myself on camera, nicely framed in, right? And we've got all of our meeting controls down here. Now back over on the laptop, we can invite other people if we want to, and we can do other things in our meeting here. We can present into the meeting here if we want to. We can continue to work and manage across the desktop and in our meeting over here, but focus on the audio and video experience on the Neat Frame itself. And then as I kind of back myself up and stand up and then walk around the room a bit, the Neat Frame will respect that. It will continue to follow me. It'll stick with me so that I have a present and immersive experience in the meeting, continually being framed in, a little bit of the AI at work, and over on the laptop, we can control the meeting as well. So here, I've got my buttons. If on the laptop I click mute, you will see that I'm also muted over on the Neat Frame. If I click on mute for the camera, I'm also muted on the camera there. And then I can use either place to unmute those features. Finally, when I'm done with my call, I can simply come over here, click the end call button, and not only is it end the call on the Neat Frame, but over on the laptop, we are ended as well. So really nice companion mode interaction. Again, you can also remotely unlock the Neat Frame from your laptop as well. So there you have it, the Neat Frame, newly certified for Microsoft Teams, personal collaboration device for either the home office or your focus spaces where you need that one-on-one experience, hot desking capabilities. This device fits the bill in all cases. Hope you found the video useful, helpful. Hope it gave you an understanding of the features and capabilities and how to get up and running with it. If you liked it, throw a like on the video down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel. Turn on notifications. Thanks for putting up with my shameless self-promotions, and I hope we'll see you back here for the next device overview video.